welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's episode was recorded on December the 10th, 2019. I'm your host, Gaming Psychologist, and with me, as always, the masterful masticator.
The caffeine rage, and yes, I do know what that word means.
Good job. I don't know why I just did that. On today's show, we will, of course, be discussing the games that we played. Elder Scrolls Legends active development is ending in the West. A United States Congressman pleads guilty to spending campaign funds on Steam games. Rocket League fans aren't thrilled with the item shop and blueprints. We'll have our weekly community corner and a Steam weekly discovery queue. Timestamps will be in the show notes following their respective topics. Good evening, Rage.
Good evening.
So, right off the bat, I want to say happy birthday.
Well, thank you. You actually remembered this year.
I did. Technically, your birthday isn't today, and it's also not the day that this episode is going to go up. It will happen between the recording and the release, but I'm going to go ahead and say happy birthday.
Well, thank you very much.
I'm not gonna sing though.
Thank you. That's the best gift of all.
That's your birthday present. I'm not gonna sing to you. No, I have your birthday present along with your Christmas goodies.
Should I be scared?
No, it's good. I think you'll like it. I mean, you'll definitely like the Christmas goodies, and I think you're gonna like what I got you for your birthday. It's just simple. It's something simple, but
yeah, I was just going to stick with Steam for you this year because I did go all out last year. You have to admit that.
You did. But I should be able to get that stuff boxed up and ready to go tomorrow, so it won't show up on your actual birthday, but it's for both.
Okay, just let me know for the tracking number because I'm going to have to pick it up at the post office if you're sending to my post office box.
Yeah, I'm going to send it to whatever address Katie kept for you in her little book.
Well, if it's the P.O. box, you're going to have to tell me.
Yeah, well, I'll give you the tracking information.
Okay.
Whenever we do ship it out. But yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
You are very welcome.
And I'm also a little scared.
It's just a simple present. I think you'll love it. Plus, you have your Christmas goodies. So, and I know you like those.
Mm-hmm. The only problem is now I'm going to have to share them. Which of course I will.
Yes, they were made with us, or by us with love. And I'll go through everything. Well, no, do you want to be surprised completely, or do you want me to tell you the goodies? Because I'll have to inventory them.
Surprising will be fun.
Okay.
As long as it's packed well so it's not shattered.
Yeah, no, I don't think anything in there will break. And if it crumbles a little bit, I mean, that'll be okay. It'll still taste delicious.
I'll just get some ice cream.
There you go. Perfect solution. So yes, there is that. How are you? Otherwise,
I'm doing all right. Had a little bit of a sore throat a couple of days ago. So I was a little worried I was coming down with something, but I guess it was just a random, just a little bit of a blah. But outside of that, doing all right. Played a couple of games. Been doing some of my game club stuff.
Nice. I also played a couple of games. One of those games we each played together at the same time.
Yeah, and we may have even helped one another.
We may have.
Are we just going to jump to that?
In a cooperative fashion. We can.
Yeah, sure. Let's shake it up.
All right. So the first game we'll talk about this week, both of us played. We played Halo Reach. The Master Chief Collection is live on PC, and on PC, the only game they have ready currently is Reach.
Yeah, they're treating it like an episodic game, which, in a way, if you look at an entire series that's interconnected, it can be.
Yeah.
And they're releasing them as they're ready instead of just doing a massive drop, and they're going chronologically.
Yeah.
So it'll be Reach, then the rest of the series in numerical order.
Yeah, I don't know if they're... Because technically, if they go full chronological, it'll be Reach, Halo 1, Halo 2, ODST, then Halo 3. but they might do Halo 1, 2, 3, then ODST.
I'm assuming there's a major reason for that, but that's probably getting into more spoiler territory.
It's just how things take place in the timeline. Halo ODST was like an expansion or like a big DLC for Halo 3. That was like its entire separate campaign. And it was the game that introduced the firefight mode or fire team mode, which is like a horde mode for Halo. But storyline-wise, it takes place between Halo 2 and Halo 3. So, I don't know how they're going to do that, but, I mean, it's fine. It's not like it's kind of its own contained story that's got some sort of bonus lore for other aspects, but, I mean, it doesn't directly connect to Halo 2 or 3, aside from some events that you're like, okay, that was in this game, and, you know, then it's gone off, and we're still here.
And that was kind of neat.
Yeah, right? That was kind of neat. That was cool.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. So, we played the first 4 missions of the campaign. There's 12 missions.
Yeah, so about a quarter of it.
You mean a third?
A third, yeah. Math is not my strong suit right now.
Yeah.
Getting old.
We played about a third of it in the course of about 2.5 hours or so.
Yeah.
The campaign takes, if I remember correctly, about 10 hours to beat, so that tracks that some of the later levels, if I remember right, are longer. Like the level we're about to start is very long, unless it's actually broken up into 2, and I don't remember that. But I can't. I mean, I've played through many times the game, so there's a lot of stuff I'm not gonna say because I don't want to spoil the story, because you were getting into the story, which makes me happy.
Yeah, it was actually kind of interesting, but then again, it's also more front-loaded on the story. The original Halo, which was the only other one I've ever played, it kind of just throws you in and doesn't really explain anything or what the hell. And it just did not grab me at all. I think it's also the fact that, at least in the first game, it's John, right? The Spartan you're playing?
Yep.
He's Blanding McBlandington. I mean, he is room temperature water. He is bland. He is boring. He's nothing. He has no substance. Cortana tries to play off of him, but honestly, I just found her annoying after a while. So
yeah.
And the fact that your character in this actually has a bit of backstory, has some personality. They're telling you, don't go Ramboing, essentially. And hinting at a more spectacular past instead of just telling you, okay, this is the Spartan. He was awesome. He's a human popsicle right now.
Yeah, thinking about, though, game design at the time, because the original Halo released in 01 or 02, something like that.
Yeah, it's probably just the fact that I didn't play it in the day, and going back to it with modern game design, it doesn't hold up nearly as well because I don't have the nostalgia goggles.
Yeah, that was around the time too that like the silent first-person protagonist was, I feel like, pretty big, because that was right after the first Half-Life, and not right after, but fairly close after Doom, and I don't remember the older Doom games giving Doom Guy a voice, and Quake, the older Quakes.
Well, the thing is that Doom Guy, they give him personality through other ways, especially the more modern Dooms, because you see him punch a mod or just in the teasers for Doom Eternal, you see him just casually grab a scientist and just gingerly pull him along and swipe the key card and walk through the door.
Yeah, but think about the Doom of the 90s, is because the original Halo, like I said, came out in 01.
Yeah, but the thing is that Doom didn't try to sell itself on its story or lore in the original, or even this a sequel, as far as I could recall. It had a story to explain what was going on, but the main emphasis wasn't, oh my god, look at all this awesome lore and story. There's demons here. You need to kill them. You need to kill them all right now. Now go grab that chainsaw and jam it up that demon's ass. So it's not really a fair comparison because you're comparing two very different styles of game. Yeah, Halo is a lot more story focused, but doesn't really try to give you anything to build off of. Or at least, I should say, the original one, looking back at it without all the history, all the nostalgia, just, random guy looking back, what was it? Almost 20 years when I played it.
Yeah. It's hard for me, too, to talk about it because not only do I have the entire history of the series, but I've read all the books and seen all of the short films and animated stuff and the one movie that they made that's set in the Halo universe. So a lot of that first game where you're talking about like bland, lack of personality, my brain's going, well, but he's got personality. But then I have to go, well, am I remembering something from the book? And
in the game, he
with
doesn't
the game?
Really. He's very monotone, very, I'm a very badass guy, and that's it.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's hard for me because I have so much sort of crossover from the entire series and lore. But I think Reach is probably one of the best games from a storytelling perspective. Reach kind of sets the tone for what all of the Halo games since have done, with how they handle their story, even with the Master Chief. And Halo 5 in particular introduced a ton of characters, and it's built from several other characters that have previously been in the series. And I mean, you haven't met any of them yet, except for the Master Chief, but it brings in a lot of the other Spartans from the books and copies their personalities. And then one team is made up of a group that you meet throughout the rest of the other games. And one of those people is Nathan Fillion. He's the best. It's Buck,
of course he
Nathan
is.
Fillion. So, but yeah, Halo Reach, the way that it did its story was copied a little bit by Halo 4 and then taken a lot farther with Halo 5. Halo 3 is pretty good in the storytelling department. 2 is better than 1. I'm having a hard time separating again with 2, like what stuff comes from the book versus what comes from the original release versus what comes from the re-release that has a lot of added stuff to it. So
yeah, I think it'll also be a lot more interesting with a co-op partner because going through it alone was just dull. It was boring.
Oh yeah. I'm looking forward to playing through all of these with you. And there's a large amount of stuff that I have forgotten, because, I mean, it's been 10 years or so since I played Halo Reach. It came out originally in, I think, 2008 or 2009. And I played it pretty heavily, sort of its release year, and then not really much more after that. So, there's stuff that I'm going, I can't remember if this was in the game then, or if this has been added, or what, but I've forgotten chunks of the story. So I remember all the overarching stuff, but like as we go through the missions, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's cool. There is some stuff coming up though that I'm excited to play through with you, and as long as the next time we play, we're definitely going to get some of it, and we'll probably get all of it because it's kind of in the middle third of the game. There's some stuff that I'm excited to play through with you. How do you feel?
Ominous.
How do you feel about the like armor abilities and things like that?
I actually kind of like them. Only problem is that because you're the host, I'm getting a little bit of lag, so I'm trying to compensate for that, and sometimes hit the button and in between I die, and that's a little annoying.
Yeah, that would really suck. Hopefully they fix that ASAP.
Oh no, that's netcode thing. That's not going to get fixed.
Okay.
That's just how the game is. I have to compensate for that, and because you have a schizophrenic connection, sometimes it's going to be a lot worse than others. And on those days, I will refuse to play Halo.
Well, what we can do is if between, I guess, maybe game releases or whatever, we can swap. Because since I'm the one who started it, and especially since you didn't get any campaign progression through some kind of bug or glitch or something.
Basically, what happened was I had a Windows process that wasn't turned on, and it wasn't sending telemetry. So I found the bug. I fixed the bug. So I should get progression now. Maybe.
Hopefully. But we can alternate hosting. That way you don't have to deal with the lag all the time, because that's not fair.
Well, also it depends on how my computer handles some of these releases, because remember, older computer, CPU not nearly as good, plus, having that damn thermal throttling whenever my CPU goes full tilt for too long.
Yeah. One of the biggest issues I have with it is its lack of graphic options on PC. I mean, you get a couple of definite necessities, like you get an FOV slider, which is very important, because this game is really punched in on console, obviously. So pulling the FOV back out and that working properly. And then you get sort of 3 generic options. You get like I think they call them minimum, or no, improved performance, something, maybe legacy. Basically, it's one of them makes it look exactly like how it looks on the console. One of them is like a reduced graphical option for performance. And then the other one is like max graphic settings, which I honestly can't tell too much of a difference between the standard and the max one. The most obvious thing is the detail pop in.
Yeah.
Is basically non-existent on the maxed out graphic setting.
Yeah, which is what I went with because of the pop in.
Yeah. But otherwise, I couldn't really tell any differences in textures and things. And maybe it's just because I don't have a high enough resolution monitor. I only play at 1080p, and the maximum setting, it outputs at 4K. At least based on what I was reading from reviews. But I mean, that's like it for the options. There's, control settings and stuff, but thankfully this game doesn't have motion blur. They just yanked it out completely for the PC release.
Yeah, and something else that's kind of nice is that by default, mouse precision is not turned on, and enhanced mouse movement is not turned on. So no mouse acceleration, no smoothing, no nothing. Raw input.
Yeah.
As it should be.
Yeah. I had to mess with the sensitivity a little bit to kind of dial in so it actually matched what I typically have my mouse set at. But yeah, no.
But that's typical for pretty much any shooter, to be honest.
Yeah. So once I got that dialed in, it was good.
Yeah, I toyed around with the field of view a little bit, toyed around with mouse sensitivity, and that was about it. And it does run fairly well. I am getting the audio bug where there's some hitching and it's muffled. And it seems to be that's on a case-by-case basis.
I have muffled gun sounds, but the rest of my audio sounds perfectly fine as far as I can tell.
Yeah, well, I also have the audio turned down way low with subtitles turned on because, co-op, so, need voice chat.
Yeah.
So, it's not that big a deal, but if you turn down music all the way, it turns down in the cutscenes as well. And there's no sound effects in the cutscenes for the most part. So you have, 30 pumas, warthogs, driving along in perfect silence.
Yeah, and you can't hear the polka music.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to say, playing because I've never played Halo CE on PC, and I've never played Halo 2 on PC. So aside from that one Halo free-to-play multiplayer thing that was brought over from Russia and like modded and all that jazz, I've never played Halo on PC before. And I gotta say, this is so much better. I'm actually a little bit worried about playing Halo 1, 2, and 3 Because Halo Reach, like I said, was the first one, Halo Reach was the first one that introduced armor abilities, and the first one you could sprint in. And Halo Classic is slow. They had to slow the gameplay way down for console. And I never noticed at the time because I was a console player, and then I started playing PC, and I've gone back to playing, occasionally a console game or something. It's like, oh,
so
God,
it makes a lot more
slow.
sense why the hell I hated it, huh?
Yeah. So I'm a little worried about going back and playing those other games from just sort of that aspect of it. But I mean, using, keyboard and mouse controls is way better than using a controller to play. So the campaign experience in some ways is easier, and in some ways is a little more difficult. And I think I'm just part of it. I'm just slower. I'm not as good at first person shooters as I used to be. And the other is, it's like occasionally, like I'll hit the wrong button for something, and it's like the muscle memory is different. Especially because the FPS I've played most on PC is probably Call of Duty. Which one is one of the Call of Duties? Black Ops. Call of Duty Black Ops is the game, the FPS I've played most on PC, and the default control scheme is way different than the one for Halo. So I kept pressing the wrong buttons, and then I went and I configured it a little bit, but there's a couple of buttons that can't be changed in the control scheme. Like V, I think, is for push to talk, and it wouldn't let me rebind V. And that was what I used for melee in Call of Duty. So I had to, occasionally I would hit the wrong button to do something. It got me killed. I'm sure I'll build up the muscle memory that I need to. And that's more of a temporary thing. But for the most part, it's better and easier to play. I'm just slower and not as good at shooters anymore.
Getting old.
I am. I'm getting old. It's okay. Eyes Battletech with 600 hours on it.
Well, you don't exactly. Yeah. You don't need to be fast for BattleTech.
No, I don't.
Yeah. And I did see that. It's like, MechWarrior 5 is out. When did that go? Oh, epic. Okay,
it'll
be
epic,
out. Yeah, it'll be out next year.
Next year. Yep.
By then, they'll maybe have fixed all the problems.
Yeah, and have all of the mechs in it. Till then, I'll keep playing BattleTech. Still have a lot of content to explore on that DLC, or the last DLC.
Yeah, I'm thinking about grabbing some of the DLC during the winter sale.
But I'm glad that you like Halo Reach. Hopefully, us together as a team, we can get through Halo 1 without too much of an issue. And as long as my nostalgia memory isn't ruining what I think about Halo 2, isn't clouding that too much, I think you'll like Halo 2 better. Because Halo 2 added a lot of stuff, most of it has carried forward into the rest of the games, like being able to board vehicles and dual wielding, which they took dual wielding out, which is sad, but dual wielding weapons, and sped up a lot of things. You get better storytelling. The Master Chief gets a little bit more personality in the second game. Not as much as the Spartans in Reach, not as much as Noble 6, which is your character in Reach, but he starts to get more personality and things like that. So the game overall is just a solid improvement on the first one. So I think as long as we can get through Halo 1 together, Halo 2 shouldn't be, we should be fine from that point on.
Yeah,
but I mean,
getting through the hump, right?
Yeah, and I think we can. I mean, we can rush through it as fast as you want. I mean, I still remember everything in particular about Halo 1, because that was, the one I started with and played a gazillion times before Halo 2 came out. So I still know a lot of secrets and shortcuts and things. And I've played through Halo 1 since a couple of times, because I have the Master Chief Collection on Xbox. I probably have, I think you still had to buy Reach. I don't know if it was added to the console version. But, so I've played through them with one of my sister-in-laws, or sisters-in-law? One of my in-laws I've played through Halo 1, 2, and 3 within the last couple of years. So, those are a lot more recent in terms of just playing through them. But yeah, I'm glad you like it.
Yeah, so moving on to something that I was kind of lukewarm about.
Yeah, you can talk about your...
So, let's talk about my friend Pedro.
I didn't know you had a friend named Pedro. Hey!
Yes, he's a talking banana, and he's kind of a letdown. Actually, I'm not joking. My friend Pedro is a combination platformer, 2D shooter puzzle game about a guy going on a murderous rampage, egged on by a talking sentient banana named Pedro.
Okay.
It's essentially Deadpool 2D shooter puzzle game. And it starts off strong. It starts off really strong, actually. It has one of the better kind of power fancy moments going through of tackling this massive horde of enemies and just slaughtering everyone, kicking a basketball into someone's face and then shooting them as they flinch, diving through a window, guns blazing, shooting people, just outright murder. They call it a murderous ballet, and I fully agree. But things start to turn sour on World 2, right? The game isn't terribly long. It's, I would say 5 or 6 hours ballpark. Mm-hmm. But the thing is that level 2, they start to introduce puzzles. All right. And
okay,
as a 2D shooter, it's actually very strong. The problem is that it's not exactly a great platformer. It's very floaty. It's very sluggish. It relies a lot on some questionable jumping at times. And when you start adding a lot of puzzles that have insta-death states, or jumping puzzles that are very, very precise, and if you fail, you just have to go back to the checkpoint, it loses its pace very quickly. And looking at the reviews for this game, it seems the further you go, the more they lean on puzzles and platforming gameplay to get away from all the interesting gun battles. There was actually the first boss. Reminded me of a bit, actually, of Final Fantasy VII's highway scene where you're driving the motorcycle. You're on a motorcycle, and it shakes up the 2D plane, so it adds a 2.5D element, almost 3D element, where you're going through and fighting off waves of cars until the local butcher shows up that you've been trying to kill to try to take you out. But then they start leaning on puzzles and jumping elements, and it just kills all momentum the game had. And it's really disappointing because all the gameplay I've seen of this has been that first world. As soon as they got past that, it felt like they are starting to try to push it more and more to the puzzle platformer genre, and it just doesn't fit that well. It's not that good a puzzle platformer. And I have to say, I'm really disappointed. I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed.
Fair enough.
And there's
I thought...
go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I thought it looked really interesting from the E3 trailers and whatnot.
Well, it's on Game Pass now.
Yeah, I have heard people talk about, though, issues with it. Just some of the weird ways that it handles sometimes with platforming or gun control when you're trying to do like 14 things at once.
Yeah, there's a weapon wheel, but the weapon wheel's absolute terrible. It's shit. It's the worst weapon wheel I've seen in a video game. There, it tells you, okay, hold down Q and then circle around your character. But the thing is that often you're way off aiming somewhere else. So the weapon wheel is useless. So you have to try to remember which button everything's on. And for some reason, they have it where single shot or single weapon and dual wield are two different things. So it's eating up even more room on the weapon wheel than it needs to. So yeah, you can quick swap, but it's have to remember, okay, in practically every video game ever, if you have multiple weapon slots, pistol defaults to 1. All right? Pretty much a universal rule.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in this game, you'd want to use dual pistols pretty much all the time, which is 2. But muscle memory keeps putting me to 1 in that single pistol, and that gets me killed. And the game is very fast. It does have a bullet time slow-mo thing going that seems to recharge as you kill enemies and dodge around and dodge bullets. But it's just... there's a lot on screen, and it is one of those games that does lend itself to being score attacked, which it has the systems in it to do so. But outside that first world, I just don't have the drive anymore. It kind of just falls off for me. Which is, right?
Yeah. I might check it out since it's on Game Pass, but I've got several other Game Pass games that I'm wanting to check out before I would get to my friend Pedro, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But I do love, and I mean, we've both said this before, I do love games being on Game Pass. Like, yeah, I'll check that out. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, I was interested in this game, and I wanted to try it out anyway. But the thing is that it just kind of fell flat after that first world, which would have still been in the realm of a refund on Steam, but I don't think it's worth $20.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because up until that point, it was fun. But it just, I saw it quickly falling off for me, and to the point that, yeah.
Gotcha. So, the other game that I played this week... Well, are you done before I...
Yeah, I'm pretty much done. It does have a pretty badass soundtrack, and it is funny at times, but it's just kind of cringy as well. It really depends on how the execution goes, because the start to the second world, I'll go ahead and spoil that. You go through a bounty hunter party, and and Pedro's talking about, well, it's a good thing you don't have a bounty on your head. Care to guess what happens shortly thereafter?
You get a bounty on your head?
Biggest bounty of the year. And
nice.
Everybody's after you. So,
that's like, that sounds like the end of John Wick 2.
Spoilers.
Actually, that's literally the end of John Wick 2. So yeah, spoilers. Spoiler alert for John Wick 2.
Well, let's be honest. We don't watch John Wick for the story anyway, right?
No, watch it for the crazy gunfights and Keanu Reeves murder of people.
Yeah, I still need to watch John Wick 2, actually, to go into 3.
Yeah, I haven't seen 3.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't really follow the story all that well on the first one, outside of, sad, John Wick's sad, and he gets a puppy, he's happy, puppy gets murdered, and he's sad again, now he's on a murderous rampage.
Yeah. Killed his dog, stole his car. He gets revenge and kills every single last fucking one of them.
Yeah, and then he steals a puppy, just randomly.
Yeah, then he gets a new dog and a new car. The end.
I mean, that's pretty much, that's pretty much the story of John Wick, isn't it?
That is literally the story of John Wick, and then you fill in all the gaps with, holy fucking shit, that's the coolest gunfight I've ever seen. It's very good. John Wick 2 has a lot more story, but also a lot more cool gunfights. It does very well.
I mean,
I haven't seen 3, though.
I mean, it's just shy of some Matrix level shit.
Yeah.
Of how over the top it is at times.
But better, because it's also in a lot of ways very realistic.
That's why I said Matrix, almost over the top.
Yeah, okay. So, very, very cool. Very cool stuff. Welcome to the Keanu Reeves portion of the podcast.
Whoa.
Whoa.
And I did like the Easter egg when everybody was saying, "Oh."
Oh. So, yeah. The only other game I played this week, though, is Skyrim. I'm not going to talk very much about Skyrim.
Thank you.
If you want to know all about it, you can go listen to our Game Club episode from like 2 years ago or something like that, where we did Skyrim for Game Club. I have recently, I've talked about it on the show a couple of times, recently started playing a D&D campaign with a local group here in town. And I'm much more of a sci-fi guy. I've said that many, many, many times. But actually being involved in something that's more fantasy-based, I wanted to play a very easy to slide into, low rules, low commitment fantasy game. And Skyrim pretty much fits that bill perfectly. So I I started playing it again, added some mods, not as many as I have in the past. So I'm starting a little slow on that. But I'm playing it in a way that I haven't ever really played before. Just kind of aimless. Because in the past when I've played Skyrim, it's like, oh, I'm going to do this build, or I'm going to do the story, or I'm going to level up, or I'm going to check out the DLC. And this time I'm just like, I'm going to fuck around. And it's actually great. I got far enough in the story to get the shouts, so I could have Fus Roda and I could launch people off of cliffs, because that's fun. But other than that, I'm just ignoring the story, and I'm really ignoring a lot of stuff and just wandering around the countryside, ripping the wings off of butterflies and shooting bears in the ass with my crossbow, and it's great.
Are you looking for somebody to deliver the bear asses to?
I found the person to deliver the bear asses to, actually. There might be more than one quest, but there is a quest to deliver 10 bear pelts to a lady. But I'm not really using fast travel. I'm fast traveling like back to my house, and then like maybe to like a major town to use as like a starting point to go somewhere. But I'm just gonna go explore over here, and I'll fast travel to the nearest town, and then I'll go explore until my inventory's full, and then I'll fast travel back to town, and then repeat. And it's very relaxing. I now understand why people will play Skyrim for thousands of hours and not really do much of anything, because it's just like running around, ripping butterfly wings off, shooting bears in the ass. Good time. Just been listening to podcasts. I don't know how much I played this weekend.
See, that would be Euro Truck for me.
Yeah. How much did I play? Maybe 6 hours this weekend in total.
Yeah, see, that's about the amount of time I put into my time at Portia.
Yeah, I'm going to be playing that. Like I said, well, I've told you, but I haven't like said this anywhere officially, I don't think. I'm going to be playing my time at Portia hardcore this weekend. It's probably the only serious time I'm going to get to put into it. I mean, I'll be sure and play it more, unless I'm just like, fuck this game, I hate it. But I don't think I will, based on listening to you talk about it.
Yeah, I think you're going to enjoy it, especially since it has a lot larger mining focus than it does fishing.
Yay, mining.
Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about it, but I think you'll find it interesting.
Yeah. I was still trying to look up how much I actually played Skyrim. I don't see it here, though. I guess I could just go to my games page, because it says on there. No, it doesn't say here. Well, fuck it. I don't care enough to keep looking. About 6 hours is close enough. So yeah, those are the games that I played this week.
So, moving on to the news?
Indeed. From one Elder Scrolls thing to another, the Elder Scrolls Legends active development is ending in the West.
Yeah, so this is kind of more your topic, because I don't know much about it, so go ahead.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad. I played and enjoyed the Elder Scrolls Legends. In case anyone doesn't know, it's a collectible card game, styled very much like Hearthstone, And it does a mix of a couple of things that I like. It's got multiple lanes that you have to manage. Most of the time, 2. There's a few that you have to do 3. But the thing that I liked the most about it is that it had a storyline. Whereas Hearthstone does have the little things that they started adding, sort of the seasonal type campaign things that were maybe like 4 or 5 missions, and you got like a set deck of cards. Elder Scrolls Legends had probably a 20-ish mission storyline that went through the beats of a typical Elder Scrolls game. Like, you start off as like a random person and you get enthralled into this adventure and you become the hero, and it hits a lot of these sort of Elder Scrolls beats with Oblivion coming up in there somewhere, and some Daedra, and an Emperor pops up.
Question real quick. At what point of the story do I get bored and start just installing mods?
I don't know. I don't know. Probably pretty early on. There's an arena fight. And it's just, it is all done through a card game. But I like the Elder Scrolls theme. I liked that it did a couple of things different, but it didn't go too crazy. Because what was the Valve card game that fell apart?
Artifact?
Artifact. Artifact had I've never played Artifact, but based on watching some stuff and then what I heard about it, it also did the lane thing, but it had too many lanes to manage all the time. There's just too much going on. It was hard to keep up with. With this, it stays concentrated, like I said, to 2 or sometimes 3 lanes.
Well, I think part of the problem for Artifact was that its pacing was off, and it was split up between 3 separate tables, so it was easy to lose track of what the hell.
Yeah.
But this is kind of indicative of, if you're not at least having some shared DNA with Hearthstone, you're struggling, because let's stop and think about this. Okay, so we have this stopping development in the West. It's still active in the East, or in, let's face it, China, Asia. We have Faria having to go pay to play, and honestly, its player base absolutely suffering or at least on PC because of it. I do know that it went on Game Pass the last few days. I'm not. Well, they canceled all plans for a mobile title because originally they had a cross-play between mobile and PC. Another one I can think of off the top of my head, RuneScape actually had a card game for a while that kind of fell flat pretty quickly. Yeah, the RuneScape. There's a name that I bet you haven't heard in a while.
Yep. Although I think they are releasing a mobile version of the original of RuneScape.
Well, this is Chronicle RuneScape
out.
Legends. It played very differently, and it was almost race-ish, while having to play cards against one another, like setting up traps or putting up monsters, that sort of thing. It's very interesting, and Total Biscuit actually did a video on it pretty late in his life, actually. So there's that. We just had noticed that Gwent is also stopping development on consoles because it's just not popular enough to keep going there. And they're trying to focus more on their more popular player base. So, yeah, it just seems like any card game that isn't at least somewhat Hearthstone-esque is struggling. And maybe it's just a case of being too different from the big CCG in the room. Because that's what kind of draws everybody in, is that one particular CCG, and all these other ones are just trying to be too different.
Yeah.
Just a random thought that I've been kind of cooking on for a while, because it's just, there's a lot of CCGs out there, actually. But just none of them really has taken off. And it seems like the ones that are trying to be too different have just struggled. But if you just copy Hearthstone, you're not differentiating yourself at all. So, I mean, I'm just looking at some of the other ones, like Spellweaver. Does that even still have a player base anymore? I played that for a while.
I don't know.
It's more Magic the Gathering-esque, which, was actually a plus for it, but I think there's not much of a player base anymore. Or if there is, there's mostly on mobile.
The thing that I liked most about Elder Scrolls is, like I said, the campaign. That's the thing. Like, I don't really like to play these games too much multiplayer, because you run into so many people that are just playing ladder, essentially. You run into the same decks all the time. I hate playing the meta. I hate it. Like, I just like to play. I like to build interesting decks, or find something that's kind of silly and have fun with it. And just running up against the same meta decks all the time gets old fast. So having a good storyline to go play, or other stuff to do, not necessarily just the storyline, because the arena stuff can be fun. And then Hearthstone had like the daily or the weekly, whatever it was, the Tavern Brawl,
which a lot of them started to go more build your own deck, and if you don't have these particular cards, you're screwed. Which for a while, that's the only reason why I even kept Hearthstone installed even on my phone, was just to toy around with the Tavern Brawl. But yeah, I think there has to be some game out there that kind of has to break away from meta decks. But the problem is that how are you going to do that without it just being completely random?
Yeah, it's true.
Because think about it, Hearthstone, you usually have one or two relevant decks for each class. And if you're not playing those, you're pretty boned. And it just gets... I stopped playing Hearthstone whenever I ran into 4 Murloc Warlocks in a row. 4 of them. And it's just, this isn't fun anymore. I'm done. Because the counter to them, I did not have the legendaries for, and I was unwilling to drop $200 per expansion in order to have even close to a complete set of the different cards. And it seems like Blizzard is just pushing more and more expansions now, and it's just, I have zero interest.
Yeah, once they did that thing that it was like, what was it, Legacy and Unlimited and all of that.
Wild.
I was like, fuck it. I mean, I don't have enough money to keep up with all of this, and I don't want to play exclusively in the, whatever it was, the Wild playlist, or...
Yeah, because they made it where, essentially, if you had no cards in the last couple of expansions, you had nothing in your collection anymore to play on ranked.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. It's just, Blizzard does some very, very strange moves. I mean, they had a somewhat popular MOBA title that they just, decided, we don't need this. And just pulled the plug on it pretty much out from under everyone. And even the people that were invited to BlizzCon to play that game.
What was it? Heroes of the Storm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, there's a lot of very odd things that Blizzard does. And that's not even touching their political issues. Or, schizophrenic political issues, because they'll want to be political in their storylines, but the moment their players get political, got it a piece of China.
Can't have those politics now. Games aren't political. Our games don't have politics in them. What are you talking about?
But, Blizzard, yeah. Right?
Indeed. I mean, I don't really have much else to say specifically on the topic. I'm sad to see it stop being in development. That means it'll hang on for a little while there's still enough players putting money into it, but eventually they'll kill it.
Yep, pretty much. Which is... go ahead.
I was going to say, part of me wants to reinstall it and see if they added any new story content. Or, well, no, that's not true. I know they did play through the new story content, but I probably can't be bothered.
Yeah, and this is part of the reason why I just have trouble really latching on, especially to CCG free-to-play games. I mean, occasionally put money into a free-to-play game. I mean, hell, Warframe is the biggest example of that. I put I think $20 into it over the course of my playtime. But also, it's like in the top 5 of my most played games, or at least on Steam, because that doesn't count MMOs, thankfully. But at the same time, CCGs are more dependent on microtransactions, and the problem is that they can pull the plug at any time, and you're out of all that money. And it's just right. It just it puts me off from wanting to dive into it.
Yeah, I've spent money on a few free-to-play games. I don't see it quite as much as of a loss. Like, if I'm actively playing it and enjoying it, I don't mind to put some money into it. And, you know, when I'm done playing, I'm done playing. It's just like any other game I spend money on, but, I mean, I'm not by any means, like, wealthy or anything, but we do have different sort of financial, stuff. What's the right way to say that? We have different income levels, I guess. Mm-hmm. Or different, you know.
I'm more of a tightwad.
Sure. That's maybe the fastest, easiest way to say it. So, you know, it doesn't bother me as much. Because if I'm enjoying it, I'm willing to spend money on it. Even if I stopped playing it the next day. You know, I felt I was enjoying it enough to put money into it. Thankfully, I'm not, and this isn't like me excusing this type of shit. We rail against this all the time. But thankfully, I don't fall too much into the psychological traps that developers set. One, I can spot them easily a mile away. I'm kind of a special exception on that with my profession and my background. But two, I also thankfully don't have much of an addictive personality. So it's easy for me to walk away from something if I feel like it's becoming more of an issue. And I don't just dump money into things all the time. And that's, I guess, a blessing, or I'm fortunate to have that. And it allows me to do that. But I know that that's not the norm for a lot of people, so.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that, especially free-to-play just feels so damn scummy these days just because of how much they push the psychological tricks.
Yeah.
And I understand, you know, game developers have to make money. They have to, you know, they have to survive. But at the same time, they hate to leave money on the table, so they have to do all the money. They have to get everything. They have to milk everything, and it just right? Yeah.
They're greedy, and it gets old.
Yeah, I mean, well, we have a perfect example of that coming up, but. First, let's go political. What do you say? Unless you have something more to say on this.
No, I don't have anything else to say on that, so let's get political.
So,
a United States Congressman pleads guilty to spending campaign funds on Steam games.
Yeah, this is more of a fluff piece, to be perfectly honest, but it was kind of funny, but also very sad. Now, the Steam games are, like, you know, out of the list of sins that this guy's pulled, yeah, way down the list. Because he spent a lot of money on other shit. But he spent, according to this, 1,005... hang on, am I pulling the right number here?
1,300... Or it says spending over $1,300 worth of campaign funds.
Well, this was... he spent $19.99 in campaign funds at Steam games to pay for video game charges. This was one of 82 separate occasions throughout 2015 that hunters did so, racking up a total bill of $1,528 paid out of campaign funds, which is a no-no in the United States, by the way.
Yeah, big no-no.
Yeah, you're not supposed to use it for personal shit.
Yep. And there's a lot of personal stuff you can write off as campaign, or I guess work-related, sort of less specifically. There's a lot of personal stuff you can write off as work-related. But video games, unless you work for a video game company, or
I would say teachers for teacher aid.
Yeah, but for a politician, video games are not. That's personal.
Yeah, and he spent stuff he remodeled his house, I believe. He, video games, Lego sets, Play-Doh, and various other things. While their family was otherwise deeply in debt. I mean, the party of fiscal responsibility, huh?
Absolutely. So fiscally responsible. I mean, if I had access to that kind of money, well, okay. If I had that kind of money, sure, I'd spend all kinds of money on shit just because. If it was someone else's money, I wouldn't.
Yeah, but see, you're more ethical. Plus, also, true. I don't think sneakers would rank that high up on your list to be a line item thing.
No.
I never
think of the last time I bought a pair of shoes.
Okay, I gotta admit, I don't get the sneakerheads. I do not understand it. Hell, I don't understand collecting all the shoes in the world for either gender, to be perfectly honest. But sneakers especially so. Because sneakers are kind of ugly, honestly.
Yeah. I understand it from the perspective of, like, someone likes to collect something and they see something in it that other people don't. I get that part. But personally, yeah, they're just fucking shoes.
I mean, I understand.
Get ones that are comfortable.
I mean, I understand having a few pairs of shoes. You know, like sneakers for running or athletics. Loafers, that sort of thing. But collecting sneakers to the point that, it's a line item here, or buying them, I guess I should say. It's just, damn, right? Also, part of me wants to research what games were on sale March 16th, 2015, to see if we can figure out which game he spent $20 on. Because that would be hilarious.
March 2015 or 2016?
March, no, I gotta find it on here again. March 16th, 2015.
Oh, that'll be hard to actually pin down some specifics.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if anybody's talked about his Steam account, and so we could go find this thing. Find the game list, right?
Video games released in March 2016.
Well, I don't imagine it would be a recent release unless it was an indie title at $20. This is something we should put Kyle on. He likes to hunt down things.
Fair. Kyle, figure out what game this politician most likely bought.
Or find his Steam account so we could look at his choice in games.
Yeah, that works too. It's your homework, Kyle. Get on that. We love you.
Plus, he needs something to do since he rolled the truck, and concussed himself.
It's always good to have hobbies. But, yeah, misappropriating $1,300 or $1,500 for video games, not the worst thing in the world, especially compared to the other things that he misappropriated funds for. But it's just like...
I mean, this is a video game podcast as well, so...
Yeah.
I mean, there is a 47-page legal document here talking about his charges. Let's see.
Basically, he's a big old piece of shit.
I just scrolled through beer, wine, alcohol, and groceries for themselves and their family and friends at various stores, including more than $9,000 spent at Vaughn's, Albert's, Hagen, and Manor Customary. So. $3,300 spent at In-N-Out, Carl's Jr., Jack in the Box, Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell, La Salsa, Pizza Hut, Rubio's, Domino's, Windsor Central, Panda Express.
How is this man not dead?
Just from Kentucky Fried Chicken, and Mercedes frozen yogurt. So it's the frozen yogurt.
God. I mean, I'm not, I like a good bit of fast food here and there as a little treat. But even before I was horribly diseased, I didn't eat fast food all that much because it's so fucking bad for you. It was more of a treat or as like a,
Well, this is also, I think,
a this
family thing as well. So, but damn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm scrolling through just... Let's see. What's some other interesting ones? Let's see. On or about January 22nd to the 25th, 2010 in Reno, Nevada. So this is not just 2015. It spans back a bit further. He spent $351 in campaign funds at Alamo Rent-A-Car. He spent another $1,000 on a ski trip. I mean, this just goes on and on and on. And the thing is, he documented it enough that they could go back to the cent, right?
Yeah.
Because he intended to pay it back. So that makes it legal.
With taxpayer money.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to find some other interesting ones or some big ticket items. But it's a lot of little stuff. Let's see. On or about November 6, 2010 in San Diego, California, Margaret Hunter, which is, I believe, wife, spent $704 in campaign funds at the Old Globe Theater for 7 adult and 5 children's tickets to the play How the Grinch Stole Christmas. There's irony, huh?
Indeed.
Oh. Let's see. $1,912.66 for a birthday gift for a family member to attend a Pittsburgh Steelers game. That's a hell of a lot of money, huh?
Yeah. I'm looking for interesting things. I'm not finding interesting things.
Are you on the CNN list?
Yeah.
On or about December 22nd, after the treasurer again warned the Hunters that campaign funds may not be used for leisure ongoing, for a leisure outing, even if campaign business is occasionally discussed. Margaret Hunter told the treasurer that she refused to provide the names of individuals she already took out for meals with campaign funds because that's silly. Yeah, and it is his wife, by the way. Oh. We're just having fun with this now, aren't we?
Yes.
Spent $90 in campaign funds to play golf at Cottonwood Golf Club. And that Duncan Hunter, which I'm assuming son, or maybe that's is that his first name? No, that's his first name. Sorry. Let's see, 90. He spent a total of $881 in campaign funds for greens fees, food, and drinks while golfing with family.
I saw that's $800 and almost $900 to play golf. And hang out with your family.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of 24 occasions between 2010 and 2016 that he did it. So 24 times for $881. That's actually not bad overall, but yeah, still legal. Still illegal.
On about March 20th, 2015, Margaret Hunter told Duncan Hunter that he could not access any funds until the next day using his personal card. Instead, she counseled him to withdraw up to $100 in petty cash using his work card. She reminded him, "We used to do petty cash all the time with the former treasurer. It was great."
Let's see. On or about September 5th, 2011 in California, he spent $399.06 at Best Buy to purchase a Nixion Coolpix digital camera plus battery and SD card, which he used to photograph his upcoming family vacation to Idaho and other events. To conceal and disguise this illegal transaction, he falsely informed his treasurer that the charge was for ink, paper, and computer software. That's a hell of a lot of ink. That's like, what, 2, maybe 3 cartridges?
Yes. Ink is also stupid expensive.
I get off-brand. My printer actually accepts it.
So yeah, this guy's a piece of shit.
No, I got one. Okay.
All right, last one.
On or about September 16th to 19th, 2011, in Boise, Idaho. So I'm guessing this is during the vacation. And elsewhere, the hunters spent an additional $640.05 in campaign funds for a family vacation centered around the family members' participation in a dance competition. And,
all right.
And then they spent another $432 for another family vacation for the dance competition. And it's probably up quite a few times, actually. So somebody likes to dance.
Maybe it's one of their kids dancing.
They spent $3,700 in campaign funds for a family vacation, which the hunters ran the Marine Corps Marathon 10K course and took their family to a fall festival. He then falsely informed the treasurer that the charges associated with the trip were all campaign, and Margaret Hunter added that they were doing a trip to D.C., meals mostly. I mean, she's just as bad as he is, if not worse.
Yeah.
Let's see. They spent $11,375 at Costco. What did they buy? The damn thing?
They bought a lot of toilet paper. They're stocking up for the zombie apocalypse.
Well, they bought groceries of household items, toiletries, there you go, cosmetics, medicine, and vitamins, clothing, pet supplies, and video games. Oh, there's more video games. Gift basket items for basket donations. Oh, I'm having too much fun just going through this. We should stop.
We should indeed.
But that's
move
silly.
on to another thing. Our next, or our final news topic for the night, Rocket League fans aren't thrilled with the item shop and blueprints.
Talk about outrageous pricing. So,
Pieces of shit.
You went back and looked at it?
I went back and looked at what?
The prices? Because...
Oh.
Whew. So, for those who haven't followed Rocket League in a while, they added loot boxes eventually. And with all the heat that loot boxes have gotten, thanks EA. Actually, thank you for that one, because, starting to see companies shy away from it. Rocket League announced that they were changing their pricing, their microtransaction model to a more traditional mobile-esque model. Well, it's happened. And they stuck to a more mobile-esque model, as in ludicrously overpriced. It's using the typical buy a package of currency. And they have a rotating store, but also whenever you're playing, instead of crates now, you get blueprints that you can pay in the currency to unlock. And items that used to be a chance to get for a single key now are $25, $30 for a single item. I mean, it's absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
And it seems like they just, went through and looked at all the trading prices and added like 2 zeros to all the costs, because there's nobody I found that's agreed with the pricing on this game. There's multiple items that cost more than the game itself.
Yeah. It's like, was it Apex that had like that special thing that if you wanted to get all of the content, it was like $100 and something. Oh,
there's a couple games that's done that where you get a lifetime pass, but honestly, it rarely seems worth it, because those games tend to fall apart. As a matter of fact, shoot, now I'm blanking on the damn game. It was the isometric fighter. Talk for a bit while I look it up.
Okie dokie. So we were talking about greed earlier, kind of how the mighty have fallen, because Rocket League was, and I suppose the gameplay is still great. I mean, we haven't played Rocket League in a while, but it was always originally a good game that was came out and didn't give in to all of the bullshit. They had some DLC you could buy, but otherwise it was fine. And it's just been getting worse and worse and worse over the years. I know that at least Jim Sterling has said that he, if he could go back, he wouldn't give it one of the awards that he did because of how the game has turned out with all of its microtransaction bullshit and the direction that it's been heading. Yeah. I just can't. Cosmetics are cool. I get it. But Rocket League, there's so much cool stuff in Rocket League with just people who are skilled and can pull off some cool trick shots and some awesome moves. I just can't imagine, spending that much money and or that much time to get that stuff. But, cosmetics do matter to people. Just because it's not something that particularly draws me in doesn't mean that, other people are dumb for that. These games pry on people's psychological desires to have cool stuff, to have shiny stuff, that hit of dopamine that comes from getting a cool thing. Games like this prey on people with those feelings and that, whenever that comes up.
Aha, it was Battle Right. I was looking for that one. Battle Right.
I don't remember Battle Right at all.
It was a MOBA-esque game where it kind of cut to a team fight situation where it was a isometric fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Only think of it as essentially a cutting out about 40 minutes of boring gameplay and getting to the 3 or 4 big team fights in like a League of Legends game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they decided, we're not getting enough money on this. Let's chase the Battle Royale dragon. And as far as I know, it's fallen on its face. They decided to make it a completely separate game. So, yeah. It took me a while to find it because, Battle Royale isn't doing well, and I'm pretty sure their Battle Royale isn't doing well either. Which, it's, but I've seen a few games do this. Dirty Bomb also did it where, you bought in and you got all the characters and I think a good chunk of the cosmetics as well. But it seems like all the games are, doing the buy-in, just are falling left and right. I'm not sure if it's just they're not getting enough sustained money and they're just getting front-ended or if it's just, coincidence. But yeah, it's just, ugh.
Yeah, that's one thing that's definitely hard to say for certain. The sort of the buy-in games. I suspect that they don't get the sustained income for one reason or another that the other games do, but
I do know Smite has a buy-in as well. It actually is doing fairly well. It's not League of Legends, but it's a comfortable second. So that is one good example of it working right. But yeah, it's just whew.
So, do you think that you'll ever play Rocket League again?
Probably not, unless I'm brought in on a community game night, because it just, I loaded it up, I looked at the prices, looked at what I got, and I started to do a little bit of math and thought, yeah, it's just, this kind of took a lot of the incentive out because, part of the incentive was, that random element of getting a cosmetic every so often, that little bit of dopamine, like you were talking about. That little bit of reward because Rocket League can be an incredibly frustrating game and getting that little bit of oomph from just, okay, the game was a tough one. We got a terrible, terrible, terrible matchup. But hey, at least I got something shiny at the end. Now I got most of the free cosmetics. They have the Battle Pass, which, let's be perfectly honest, the Battle Pass system that they have is just, exploitative as hell because the paid one, you get something every level. The free one, you get a couple things early on, and then they start spacing out to the point where, if you're not playing 24/7 Rocket League, you're not going to get that anyway, because the buy-in one goes up a lot faster. So, yeah, it just feels like it lost all of its incentive to me, plus the fact that, I'm so far behind on the skills level that it's already not really how I was to want to play. And this just, leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah. Maybe if somebody or enough people requested it, we'd play it again, but it's been a while, and we always struggle to get even teams.
I mean, even with our group, because I would say you're the best. I'm probably second. Even though where both of us are rusty, it's probably about even right now. You're a lot better in the air. I was a lot better on the ground. I think that's fair to say, right?
Yeah. There was one other person who was really good. I think it was Phil.
Yeah, where the hell is Phil gone?
He plays Star Wars RPG with us every week. Every-ish week. I don't know how much Phil, how much did you engage previously? Let me know. Write in.
Bueller? Bueller.
Nice.
But yeah, it's just... It kind of just turned me off from wanting to play Rocket League at this point, just because, that's scummy as hell.
Yeah.
I mean, I realize that, you don't have to get the cosmetics. For the most part, the cosmetics were just that, cosmetic. Now, there's some speculation that some of the cars, they weren't completely cosmetic. And because the different cars had different hitboxes, it also meant that certain cars would benefit a lot better from certain people's playstyles. So in that case, it's not entirely cosmetic. And also, while they did this, they also pulled all the DLC from the game, from the store. So now you could only buy in their store.
Mm-hmm.
And you could only buy it piecemeal now. Before you could, like get the flying DeLorean, or or Batman, or get the old rocket, or the old rocket cars, I believe it was, models. But now you have to buy it piecemeal, so that leaves even worse taste in my mouth. The first one was bad enough. Now it's just pure coconut, and I hate coconut.
Yeah, I also dislike coconut. Good call.
Yeah, Rocket League, they've gone coconut.
Indeed. All right. Are you ready to move on to our probably pretty brief community corner this week?
Yeah, I am.
So, for community corner, did we have any letters, emails, voicemails,
I didn't see
tweets?
any. I'll go double check. I didn't see any emails, and you're obviously losing your connection enough that you didn't hear me say that the first time.
I didn't hear you say anything.
Well, you were also roboting at the time.
I'm all in the green. All on the line. 0% packet loss.
0 packet loss, and I'm green as well, so. I'm just going to say you went deaf.
That's possible as well. So, nothing on that front for community night. I forgot. I was reminded very kindly by my wife that I had volunteered to go to a Christmas party thingy.
Ben volunteered.
Yeah, so I went to that last night, and I assume that nobody else did anything.
No, I didn't even bother showing up because pretty much nobody does if you're not there. You are the life of the party.
I wasn't last night. I mean, there was good food, but it was a bunch of people I didn't know very well. I kind of knew some of them, but there were also plenty of college kids that I didn't know. And then I don't know what the game is called, but the game where it's like everybody takes like a thing and sticks it to their head, and you're a character and you have to figure out who you are. But like I won that game, because I stuck mine on my head and they were like, oh, it fits you perfectly. And my first guess was Santa Claus. And my second guess was Scrooge. And I was Scrooge.
Ah, humbug.
Yes. So that was that. And I was out of the game. And I went and ate cookies.
And chugged insulin.
Yep. You got that right, buddy.
No. You had a cup of insulin and you were dunking the cookie into the insulin.
Yeah.
Because I know how you are with milk. You use insulin.
Yeah. I had spaghetti and cookies. It was delicious, but I paid for it. But it's okay. I'm still alive. So that was that.
Unless, well, how do you feel about brains?
How do I feel about brains?
Yes.
They're alright.
Not sure if zombie. I'm just going to stay away.
Fair enough. Probably a smart move around me. Just stay away. Oh no, Craig. Fuck you, Craig. Come back.
Whoa, I went into the red there as well. Well,
let's try and bring him back for a minute, but we're at the...
Are you, Craig?
You left us. You left us. Now you're back.
Well, to be fair, you did say it's probably best to stay far away.
That is very true.
And Craig is, a robot of action. So, yeah.
He is indeed. But, Rage, where can they get in touch with us if they want to send us things?
Well, you could send an email, vglpodcast@gmail.com, or just tweet us, vglpodcast, on the Twitter. So, Discovery Queue?
Indubitably do.
And as per usual, I had it pulled up, but I got something immediately. How about your favorite game in the whole wide world, since you talked about mine?
Yeah.
Red Dead Redemption 2. Well, does it tie into the story of the first one? Because if so, that's...
Yes, it's a prequel to the first one.
Okay, so it does make sense then, if you can, since you can't play the first one on PC. You don't really need it for the story. But, yeah, it'll be interesting once they get around to fixing it. Maybe. But also, this is Rockstar, so they're just going to milk the multiplayer for as much money as humanly possible. And at least at launch, the game wouldn't launch if you had a controller plugged in. Because, of course, right?
Of course.
So that's Rockstar for you. I mean, if you could get mods to fix all the issues that Jared had with it, then maybe it could be an interesting ride. But how about I make a different recommendation? Call of Juarez Gunslinger instead. Sure, it's not as serious, it's not as grim, but damn is it fun. Go play that.
Yeah. And my issues with Red Dead Redemption 2, I think it was Jim who asked me, like, why do you think that this stuff is a waste of time, but you play all of these other games that a lot of people think are a waste of time? And I mean, it's purely subjective. I mean, it genuinely is. It's purely subjective. I just thought that all of the stuff in Red Dead 2 was just faffing about and wasting time. Like, if I want to play a Western game, I want to spend the entire game doing Western stuff, not looking at a horse's butthole and inspecting playing cards.
Yeah, but the butthole contracts whenever it's cold weather.
Cool. But if you like, or if you don't care about that stuff as much as me, if it doesn't bother you as much, then absolutely, you enjoy it. Jim was right when he asked me that question, because it's totally subjective. I just don't give a shit about that. I'd rather play a sci-fi thing where I look at, like, an alien butthole for 46 hours. So, yeah. And speaking of a sci-fi thing, I don't know if there's alien buttholes in this or not, but Everreach Project Eden looks like a third-person RPG game. They are talking about things like Mass Effect and old school BioWare games in the description. So it's got mixed reviews, but them's tempting words right there. But it looks like a third-person shooter or RPG shooter game.
Well, I got something for Square Enix once again. Dragon Quest Builders 2. I wasn't aware there was a first one. An ARPG Minecraft-esque, basically Minecraft plus Dragon Quest. Although I'm not sure how heavy they are on the story. I mean, it looks like there's a story going on, but...
Very heavy. I haven't played it, but I've heard it discussed on a gaming podcast that I listen to. It's very story heavy. The first one, I believe, is only available on Switch or 3DS. And then the sequel is being made available on other platforms.
And they do have a full-on sandbox mode if you want to, get your Minecraft on without, getting Minecraft. So, next up.
Got another... I'm copying a link right now. It's another one of these mechanic thingy simulators. There's the link. Biker Garage Mechanic Simulator. It honestly doesn't look super great. There's a huge string of these that have been releasing over the last several months for planes and trains and automobiles, and now we have bikes.
Are there any other John Candy movies involved?
Not at this time. Stay tuned for more details at 11. I guess technically it's 3 minutes till 11 as we record this. But I mean, oh, and there's also PC Building Simulator.
But that actually has a point. PC Building
Simulator?
Yeah, PC Building Simulator actually allows you to test different graphics or different component combinations and build the cooling of your PC. And actually test out airflow and that sort of thing. It actually has a point. It's not just a goofball thing. What, you didn't know about? You didn't know that?
I mean, I'd heard some of that stuff talked about, but then I also hear people say, like, why you can just do all of that on PC Part Picker and with, like, some draft paper.
True. I think it's more for people that are wanting to do some serious hardcore cooling on their rigs. Test out different fans and that sort of thing without having to, actually do it.
Yeah.
But anyway, your simulator, anything you want to say about it? Because I got something interesting.
Not really.
Well,
go for it.
Well, I got Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD. So, have we had Super Monkey Ball on PC? I don't think we have.
Not that I know.
Short of emulator. So I was a little bit surprised to actually see this pop up before. But yeah, now I got in Discovery Queue. It's a physics-based puzzle platformer where you're a monkey with giant ears trapped in a hamster ball. And it's sort of like the old wooden mazes where the entire world tilts and it's physics-based. Only there's rings involved, you have to grab bananas, and it's actually, what I played of it, quite a bit of fun. It's just, a console port, so there you go, right? It's still a bit expensive, though, but, I mean, if you want your monkeys with their balls, right?
There you go. So I got Swarms, or Swarmzy, depending on how you want to look at that. It's a zombie horde sort of strategy survival type game. It's not quite a tower defense, but it seems similar. You place down barriers and units, or, well, people, to defend a baby from the zombie horde. You have to strategically place them to survive as long as possible, or to defeat the zombie wave. And the biggest thing on here is like Swarm Z relies on an ultra high performance custom made crowd rendering system, allowing you to experience 100,000 plus zombies on screen. Which sounds pretty neat, but I mean also like, okay. But I mean it's
now if that was Baby Yoda, my girlfriend would be all over it.
The thing that really drew me the most into it, though, is like they said that it's got some comedy in it, and it lists like having a bunch of silly units. Looking at the screenshots, I don't know what's supposed to be silly about any of these.
The fact that you paid for it.
Perhaps. Then famous post-apocalyptic locations inspired by the greatest zombie movies and TV shows of all time. That sounds alright too. It's $5. I don't know. This is impulse buy territory for me. Although if I can get a free key from somewhere, I would play it with a free key. But anyways, yeah, there's that. I thought it was interesting enough to warrant a mention.
Well, I got Door in the Woods. This game is a venture into an alternate timeline in which graphics and sensible game design were never invented. This is a very traditional roguelike, where it's an open world roguelike inspired by Lovecraftian mythos. So there you go, right? I mean, that's either going to sell you on this or turn you away. One of the two. And this is very roguelike with some 3D-esque elements to it as well. It's not completely, ASCII characters because there's some depth to it to give it a little bit more feel to it. But it has this kind of odd feel that I kind of like, actually. It's sort of like if Dwarf Fortress added the 3D element to its actual gameplay instead of just adding Z layers. Pretty neat. I like it. No, the question is, how does it play? But it's, in the really impulse buy territory anyway, so.
Yeah. This one... and oh my god, I can't type. Called Endless RPG is more of a... at first glance, more of a curiosity type thing for me. It looks like it's a randomly generated open world RPG that doesn't really have a story. You just create a party of heroes and go adventuring. And the world is simulated and grows around you with like cities and towns growing larger.
So basically roguelike without the proper roguelike things going on with it.
Yeah, I guess.
Because that's what a lot of it is random generation and surviving. Yeah.
It looks interesting. But I don't know if it looks good, if that makes sense. Like, graphically, it's not really all that exciting, but, like, the gameplay idea is intriguing. I would buy this for a couple of bucks to check it out.
Well, it must be the night of Minecraft-esque games, because I got Cube World. Cube? I found your world. Cube World is a voxel-based action RPG with a focus on exploration. It takes place in a procedurally generated fantasy world made up entirely of cubes. So I've heard a bit about this. This was actually kind of famous for being in development hell or development limbo. Whenever the developer just kind of gave up on it for a while, but it looks like he did finally finish it. But there's a lot of negative votes on just saying that it doesn't really hold up. It's not worth the $20. And it's more of a focus on exploration. So, it's hard to tell just how much there is on actual gameplay. So, there you go. God, I just got Biker Garage, so I'm going to skip that.
Well, this game is just porn. I kind of want to put it, but I'm not going to link to a porn game in the show notes just to be on the safe side. The game is called Cockwork Industries. I thought it was Clockwork, and the screenshot has got like some cogs and gears together. So I'm thinking like, oh, Clockwork Industries. So what is this? Like some kind of visual novel or something? But no, it's a porn game. Straight up breasts exposed for our pleasure and penises on the screenshots. So there you go.
Well, I got an odd one. Doraemon, Story of Seasons. Essentially Harvest Moon plus anime character. Japan's Doraemon meets Story of Seasons in this new fresh take on farming now on Steam. The setting is nature and the theme is creating bonds. While doing so, enjoy heartwarming interactions throughout each character in the story. So it looks like it's a more story-focused Harvest Moon game, which Harvest Moon in Japan is called Story of Seasons. So it's kind of a surprise to see this. I didn't know about this, actually. And I'm not overly familiar with the Doraemon franchise. Outside, I know it's popular. I've seen the character pop up every so often. It's a giant blue cat. But, I'm not really familiar with, what the character's like. But, it has this kind of interesting, frame around the screenshots and a filter over all the gameplay that looks like it's a hand-drawn. It reminds me very much of Valkyria Chronicles, actually, with how they handled cutscenes. It has this hand-drawn feel to it, almost. Or animated feel. So, another Harvest Moon-esque game. Or I guess now Stardew Valley-esque game, because, that's kind of taken over on PC.
So, I got Boneworks, which I've seen some stuff on Reddit about here recently. Is tagged as an experimental physics VR adventure, but it looks like sort of a mix of got some Portal puzzle stuff in there, but also got a Half-Life vibe going on. But it's a full-blown VR game with all kinds of crazy looking stuff. This game kind of scares me in the sense of if I tried to play this, I'm pretty sure I would get motion sick and throw up everywhere, because it looks like it's using actual movement, and your character can run and jump around. He's got these little suction cup things, and in the trailer, at one point he kicks a bad guy off of something and then jumps off so that some other people don't catch him, and uses the suction cup to grab onto a floating orb. I'm pretty sure I would vomit everywhere. But this looks incredibly neat. Actually, looking at some of this stuff, I've seen things about it along on maybe on Reddit. Maybe I've seen something on Steam about this before. This makes me want, even though I'm worried about throwing up everywhere, this makes me want to get a VR headset tomorrow and try it out. So, it looks interesting.
Well, I got something interesting. Combat.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Command. Modern Operations. This is a hardcore military sim where you are in command of pretty much any military you want. And it has a ton of DLC on it as well, where you're able to reenact battles from World War II onwards. Or just throw armies at one another, it seems. With primary tactical and the scale is primarily tactical and operational, although strategic scale operations are also possible. So it's essentially what if and throw armies at one another, as far as I can tell. And it has $130 of DLC already.
Dang.
I mean, this looks like it's quickly becoming Train Simulator-esque levels. And the game itself is already $80. I mean, it's probably worth it for people that are hardcore into military strategy and wanting to toy around with that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's just too rich for my blood, but interesting, so that's why I'm putting it on there.
Yeah, $80 default, $112. I kind of want this.
I'm
not going to buy it right now.
Like I said,
it's released.
It's 14th, one of those oddball things that pop up that it's kind of neat. So you got one more?
No, my queue's done.
I'm on my last game, Molecule Sinks. This is a Zachtronics game, so that either sold you or scared you away right there. Use the Molecule Sinks to create small molecules with various pharmaceutical effects from the comfort of your small Romanian apartment. So this is kind of mixing Magnus Opum with now I'm blanking on the damn name of it. But thankfully this is a Zachtronics game, and it's also a Zachtronics game. Space Chem. I knew it was Chem, but I was blanking on Space Chem. So it's essentially combining a couple of his previous games, and this came out just a couple weeks ago. So yeah, that is definitely interesting. And also going to be hard as hell to play. But at worst, you can always just play the solitaire game, it looks like.
Indeed.
But hey, go make drugs, right? From the comfort of your apartment.
Yeah.
Your Romanian apartment. I wonder if there's going to be an overarching story like Magnus Open had. But anyway, that is my queue done. I had some interesting pulls and some odd pulls. You had porn. But
I did have porn.
But at least the machine learning has learned your tastes.
I actually had like 3 porn games, but one of them was like one of those really terrible like tile puzzle anime porn games. And then the other one was just a kind of a standard visual novel, breasts exposed for your pleasure sort of deals. But this one, the one that I mentioned, was intense. So, I had to bring it up.
And it caused a tent.
Indeed. To be pitched. Hey. But, with both of our cues done, that means, hey Rage, hit him with the socials.
Well, I've been Caffeine Rage. You can find me on YouTube, Gaming with Caffeine Rage. You can find me on Twitter, Gaming with CR. And if you wish to be my friend on Steam, you can do so over there, Caffeine Rage as well. And you've been
Gaming Psychologist. You can find me over on the YouTubes by searching for Gaming Psychologist, on Twitter at JMA4707, and on Steam by sending a friend request to JR34707.
And the password for this week, if you wish to let them know exactly what episode of the podcast you're coming from, is reaching. Because I'm reaching for a word this week.
Aw, yeah.
But as always, once again, you could contact us at vglpodcast@gmail.com with your letters, voicemails, gaming-related topics, or just tweet them to us, VGLPodcast, on the Twitter. And that does include your homework as well. Our lovely, lovely patrons have made this madness absolutely possible. You can find out more at patreon.com/VGLPodcast, which our patrons have also made our Podbean account, well, paid for, which hosts the RSS feed, the show notes, links to all our stuff. And you can find that over at vglpodcast.podbean.com, or you can find us on iTunes, Google Play, or your podcatcher of choice. Our intro and outro music is On the Ground, and our Discovery Cue music is Doobly Doo, both of which are by Kevin McLeod. You can find his work over at Incompetech.com. And
as always, as his lovely music starts to roll across my voice, bye-bye now.
See you next time.